7:39 over the last year, local authorities spent about £1.3 billion fixing potholes. That paid for about 2 million stretches of road to be repaired.
But the motoring organisation, the AA, thinks councils haven't done as much as they should, and they claim the pothole problem is already with us, despite the big winter freeze not yet having set in. Apparently the problem is worse in Scotland, is what some road users in Edinburgh think.
Since the last winter, they've filled in the biggest ones, but I mean the roads in general in Edinburgh are bad.
I would say it's just the same as it was last year, and I thought there would be big improvements this year, so I definitely something I need to spend a bit of money on.
Road is very bad at the moment, and potholes are day by day getting worse rather than getting better.
I would say worse. Within the city, aye, definitely. And the minute we get the next frost, all the tar that's been put down gets uprooted again, so nightmare.
So Edmund King from the AA is here, along with Shona Johnston from the Local Government Association. Shona, are councils not doing their job properly?
No, councils are working extremely hard. We fill a pothole roughly every 15 seconds. So by the end of this programme this morning, there'll be nearly 400 potholes will have been filled. But the problem is that we filled over 2 million potholes last year. But last winter, it cost £400 million. We're very grateful for the £200 million the government gave us, but there's a big hole and we're constantly playing catch up, and it's just beyond our means at the moment.
So Ed, they're working very hard. Is that good enough for you?
Well, they are working very hard, but what we did, we sent out 1,000 AA volunteers to actually survey a couple of thousand miles of road, and we compared it with the survey last year, and there were about 10% more potholes than last year. But we did also spot that they had been working hard, because we also surveyed the number of potholes that had been filled in, and there was an increase in that. But I think the problem is you get into this vicious circle, because if you've got potholes out there, cars get damaged, people get injured, particularly if you're on a cycle or a motorcycle, people claim compensation, and then that takes money from the local authorities in compensation. I think last year 47 million was paid out in compensation. So you get this vicious circle. So, I think for 1 year, you actually need more money from government to actually fix the structure of many of our roads, because sometimes it's sticking plaster approach. You fill in a pothole, 3 weeks later it reappears.
Jonah, that's interesting, because people might join up the dots here and think, well, councils' budgets are stretched.
Absolutely.
Is there evidence that they are not spending the money on potholes that they are spending somewhere else? I mean, they have to make these decisions too.
You're absolutely right. Council budgets are really stretched at the moment, and we do have to make some very difficult decisions. We know that fixing the streets is a priority, and we're putting money into that. But it would cost about £10 billion to fix the infrastructure of all our roads. And we just simply don't have that money, and neither does central government.
So, sorry, that sounds like what you're effectively saying is we're going to live with potholes.
Well, we're doing our best, and we prioritise potholes, so the most serious ones do get fixed, often within a couple of hours. But we are still playing catch-up. I point out that, we fixed 2 million potholes last year, but we have got a lot of money that we need to spend, and that money at the moment is simply not available.
Edmund, I think you mentioned, and it seems to be the case, and many people have experience of this, potholes reappear. What needs to be done to make sure that the fillers, the technology, the road surfacing is at a standard where, I mean, this is not a new problem.
No, it's not. And to some extent, the problem's got worse with utility companies coming along, digging up trenches, restating it, but not doing a good job. And you get cracks around the edge of the trench. Then you get water, rain, snow going in, it freezes, it expands, and the whole road crumbles. So I think one thing we could do is concentrate on the utilities and ensure that they actually repair the roads properly. And that would help the local authorities, because normally it's the local authority that then has to clear up. But there does come a point where a pothole cannot be repaired. There's one on my cycle ride that I go past every Sunday, and it is repaired about every month, and it reappears because it is just so deep that just filling it in will not do the job. The road has to be broken back and resurfaced. So I think we do need more money going into structural maintenance and not just this sticking plaster approach, filling in the potholes.
Well, Shona, does that suggest that the approach is not right. I mean, filling in a pothole every month seems to anybody a waste of resources.
I would agree in that particular instance, but I mean, I know from experience that what we often do is when we get that position where we can't mend a pothole, we do go out and resurface the road, and I certainly experienced it in my own county where we've done that. So it's about taking the right approach and the sensible approach that, you know, potholes can sometimes be repaired, and I take Liverpool City Council, which have introduced a jet patcher, which is a much more effective and more efficient way of filling potholes, and they can do even more for less money. And
Well,
we're
if
doing
they've
that.
introduced it, how come that's introduced elsewhere?
Other authorities may well want to do the same, but we're becoming more and more efficient. We're doing more potholes for less money, which is really good. But we do need to think, in some circumstances, that actually the best approach would be to resurface the road. But again, it's expensive, and the money just simply isn't there.
Is the pothole filled in first on the basis that most people have complained about it? What basis is it
It's
done?
on the basis of priority. So clearly on...
How big it is?
The size will be important, the amount of use that the road gets. So clearly, you know, if it's a main road, main highway, which has got bus routes and things like that on it, that's clearly more important than a small country lane where you've only got a few cars going along. So we prioritise on the basis of use, we prioritise on the basis of the size of the pothole.
We have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm sure we'll be talking about it again, probably when the weather kicks in.
Probably in the next few minutes when people email in.
Yeah.
7:45, you're watching Breakfast from BBC News.